Hello, and hello, and welcome to another Stay Frosty podcast with your host Norm. Yeah, it's not Norm. It's you know, I don't know actually. What did I decide was my name last time? I have no idea. It's a mystery to me. But anyway, yes. Welcome to another Stay Frosty podcast with your host Norm. So, kicking off today. You know, we're meant to be doing this about TV shows, films, and games. Now, films is a write-off because I can't seem to talk about them without spoiling the storyline, the plot, characters. It's a dead zone. I can't really talk about films very well, and especially since I don't particularly watch them that much. Now, there have been some games coming out recently which I am actually genuinely excited for, but I'm also quite disappointed. Right? So I'll first explain to you how there's a game called Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which has come out. It looks really cool. Combat looks sick. I think there may be some single player content, which is, as it's a fighting game, it's quite, well, let's say, off piste. It's quite off piste, and because normally fighting games mainly revolve around multiplayer with 1v1 combat, really. That's pretty much all they do. They give you like a tutorial and arcade mode, and then there's the multiplayer, the online mode, which you kind of tend to go for because if you played against the bots in these fighting games, you'll probably realize that they're super easy and you can beat them, and it's not particularly exciting. It doesn't really keep you engaged. After what I reckon you would get bored after maybe like an hour of arcade mode, and you'd be like, right, I'm done. Is that all the game has to offer? Probably not, because the online is where it gets good. Because you come to realize what these games are about. It's all about the battle of the minds, battle of two people against each other, and who is the smartest, who can use their tools best against their opponents in the best ways, who can outmaneuver with the mechanical skill, who can outmaneuver, who can outgun, and who can outbrain their opponents. That's really where the appeal comes from. I can totally understand the appeal, but sadly, a lot of fighting games don't really appeal to me. They haven't really got the aesthetic that I'm looking for. Now, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has definitely got a very cool aesthetic. It's got this kind of anime cartoony art style, which is pretty unlike most fighting games. Now, the interesting thing about this one though is there's a lot of air combat, which means not only is it 3D and a 3D fight, you know, not only is it like instead of just being 2D on a wall, but you've also got the rest of the arena. It's also going to be, well, um, let's say it's a 4D. It's not really 4D, but in terms of fighting games, I'd say it is because it has no longer got just the plane that you're fighting on, but you've got the space as well. You've got the Y axis, the X axis, and you got the Z axis. So that is truly 3D, because before with these 3D fighters like Tekken, you would have the Y and X, and they would rotate round. That's still technically 2D. Um, there was no real depth from what I understood, but this does have the depth. Now, also, the fighting looks very different to how I've seen other fighting games because you can power yourself up with Kai and then unleash like Kamehamehas and stuff like that. And you can shoot up really quick projectiles. I don't know how much focus there is on blocking. There might be a lot of offensive skills involved. Yeah, so it's looking pretty good. And I don't know about this episode. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be talking about games only, or I will find something else to talk about. But there's quite a few things in the news which I could talk about, but I'm just not. I'm not fully clued up on matters. I feel like it might be a mistake to talk about. So I won't go there. I won't go there. It's um it's a tough subject to breach the news, and I feel like if I went there, I might regret it. I won't regret it. That's no. I won't regret it. It's just not sure if it's my cup of tea. It's not my my realm of information that I have. Most of my realm is to do with gaming. Yeah, cool. Now, I think I read in the description for Sparking Zero is there are 180 characters, which is insane. It's an insane amount of characters for a fighting game. Now, I'm concerned that they won't feel very unique. I mean, trying to make 180 unique fighting characters is gonna be damn hard. Now, I don't actually have a problem with having loads of characters. To be honest, I love all the characters. Not all the characters. Sorry, I mean I love having loads of characters in a game. Um, like Dynasty Warriors, there were loads of characters in that, and actually they did a good job of making each one seem pretty unique. Even though at the end of the day, all you're pressing is X and Y, and spamming X and then Y. Yeah, you would tap 3 times on X and then press Y. That was the combo. And there might have been some other combos in there now with the newer ones, but that was genuine. Generally, that was generally it because that was it. It felt unique though. I think it helps that they looked really unique and they had different weapons. So I'm not sure how Sparking Zero really can do that, but does it matter when the graphics are just so cool and you're doing really epic things? I don't think so. And I somehow doubt that this game has motion inputs because motion inputs are pretty boring, if I'd say so myself. I think they add a whole level of depth to the game, or at least difficulty. But are they fun? Are motion inputs fun? And when I talk about motion inputs, I mean like quarter circle forward, quarter circle back, and half circle forward, including a button. You know, is it that fun? Emotion input? Maybe you feel cool when you do it, right? You finally get it off, and you're like, "Oh, thank fuck for that." But in the heat of the moment, in a fight, it's not. It's not really. I don't know. It doesn't. It doesn't feel fun. It just feels annoying. Um, but I guess the way to overcome that feeling is to do some training. Now, this is something I've always struggled with gaming. Like competitive gaming, right? Training or practice or learning. Sometimes well, most of the time, I just want to be playing the video game. I don't really want to be researching how to play a game. Like, it feels like it takes the fun out of it. And it's the same with single player games, actually. I see streamers playing single player games and they're like, oh, I'm at this bit, yeah, now. And they're like, oh, I'm pretty close to the end. I've only got one act left. And I'm thinking, how do you know that? Why do you know that? Like, when I play games blind as much as possible because I feel like just knowing more about the game just ruins the fun for me. Like, it just makes it so easy. And the challenge is gone because I just know everything before it happens. Like instead of this boss surprising me with a massive, huge hit or something, I then suddenly know it's going to happen and be like, right, I've got to watch out for this. Whereas if you're playing it blind, you wouldn't even know to look out for this, and you wouldn't even know when the game is going to end. So you're always thinking, is this near the end? I don't know. And then something amazing happens. You're like, oh, maybe this is the end of the game, and it's not. And you'll have pleasantly surprised because you keep playing. You know, it reminds me of single player games, right? Where I would um, I would get kind of nervous that the game is going to end because it's a single player game. I shouldn't be too concerned because it's gonna keep going, and I could always replay the game. You see, right? I could always replay the game and play it for 100%. Now I really wanted to do that for some games, and I got pretty close with Call of Duty 4 and pretty close with GTA 4. I think I don't think I ever got to 100% though, because I feel like in a lot of games to get 100%, you have to do a collectible challenge or something, and those are boring as hell. But to be fair, I did it at Fable 2, and that was not bad. That really was quite fun, actually, doing the gargoyles in Fable 2. That was fun. Now I didn't know how to get 100% in some of the newer games, especially with the games where they got hidden achievements. It's just for nerds, really. But I think that's where guides do help. So I think guides are good if you want 100% a game, but I think reading guides too often can be quite dull and can take away from the experience for sure. Now that is it's probably a good and bad thing because I get bored of games quite quickly and I struggle to keep playing them. Um, but saying that, I've let myself mull. I've been mulling over games for a while. Yeah. I haven't bought a new one for a long time. Being like, okay, I'm gonna calm down a bit. Don't want to spend too much. I want to wait for a game which I actually want to play. Now there was a game that came out quite a while ago. It was called Frostpunk, and it looked cool. It looked pretty cool. I didn't know anything about it, and recently the second one came out, and I was actually on a really good list actually. So if you're on Steam, you can click the magnifying glass without putting any words in, and you will get a list of probably the most popular games at this current point in time, which is really cool because normally I would go on Twitch and see the top games and be like, oh my god, all the most popular games are just the same old games. League of Legends, Counter Strike, GTA 4, Minecraft, it's always the same games. You're like, really? Has no one made a new game recently? And then that was Frostpunk 2 just installing there. And like Black Myth Wukong, are you serious? Like we waited years for this crap, and it's stupidly graphically intensive, and people love it. But I don't know. Maybe one day I would get it, but it's not. I don't think it's one of my games. It's a game. 'Cause there's like when I was in the PS2 era, I had played all of the bangers of games, and I had not asked anyone. I'm sure. We just played them because everyone liked them, and I guess it helps when all your friends are playing games, and you're like, oh, you know about this game, you know about that game. You'd share interests. These days, everyone's all stuck on their own games and never finds a new one. I mean, that was not English, whatever I just said, but um, you, you never find a new game because everyone's just playing this one game or their own games, and no one seems to be sharing their knowledge anymore. So this page is actually pretty sick because you are currently saying the most popular games. And up there, and I was scrolling down, and then I saw Frostpunk 2. It's like, damn, they made a second one. Well, the first one must have been a roaring success because they've made a second one. And I clicked on it briefly, and I saw the graphics look pretty cool. It's a city builder, which I am definitely interested in city builders. Couldn't say I've played many. Now, it is a risk buying this game because I know nothing about it. I know nothing about it. But I'm gonna read the description now to you guys because now I've bought it. I could read a bit more about it. The world is overtaken by ever-present winter, which means yeah. My friend was talking about this, right? And he said it's like an RTS with kind of like you're in the nuclear winter. And he said, Frostpunk was cool. I think you'll like this game. And I was like, actually, now that you've said that to me, I think I might like this game because I enjoyed the Fallout games, but not Fallout 4. So I do wonder if this will be if it will scratch that itch, that post-apocalyptic itch where the game is actually quite sinister, but you know, it's still cool. It's still cool, and it's not terrifying. And to be honest, I don't get scared of video games. I could play any video game and not be scared, 100%. I don't really understand the whole horror game thing because I remember at university, I played Outlast, like the whole of Outlast, basically in one sitting, maybe two. And there was a guy with me who was like freaking out at the scary parts, and I was just like, "You okay, bro? You need to calm down. It's just a video game. It's not going to come out of the TV screen and rip your throat out. Like, it's literally fake. Like it was cool. It was a cool game, but it wasn't like terrifying. Like this is the thing. Like I think media has dimmed my senses to be able to feel things when playing games or watching films. To be honest, so I think films still get me, to be honest, because they are lengthy. They're lengthy. The sitting is long, so they have 2 3 hours. And if it captures you, it captures your senses. Something in it makes you feel like you're a bit invested in the characters. Then I can see how you can get scared. Then I can see it, but with the games, not so much. Maybe jump scares work really well, but I don't know. I've never been freaked out by a game. I've been freaked out by books. I've been freaked out by maybe a film, even though I just gave it praise. But I think I could get freaked out by a book because of how quiet everything is when you're normally reading. You're normally focused and be quiet, and maybe those noises in the house you normally wouldn't care about. Suddenly you're thinking, "Oh, what was that noise?" Um, and that's I think that plays on the senses. But yeah, um, Frostpunk 2. I know basically nothing about it, but I mean the description is pretty terrible. The description is pretty terrible. It doesn't give you any idea of um of what the game is about. It's a multi-chapter saga set in the frozen wastes. Spanning across the life of the steward, this campaign lets you feel the burden of leadership as you take the responsibility of thousands of lives. At the same time, the sandbox mode, called Utopia Builder, with infinite playtime, leaves you room for boundless social and infrastructural experiments. So this really is a city builder, eh? Because I, for some reason in my head, right, I had this feeling that Frostpunk played similarly to the first Battle for Middle Earth, where you could only build buildings in specific locations. Now, I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about that, but I feel from what I've seen, it is. But from description, it sounds like no. It sounds like this is actually a city builder, which is pretty cool because there aren't. I can't think of any other city builder games which have a post-apocalyptic theme. Sure. Now I got this because I was scrolling down a list and I saw it and I thought, yeah, because I thought I was actually thinking of playing this one time. And I thought, yeah, I'm looking for indie games to play. Might as well play that. And so there were some other games which caught my fancy. Right, there were there was Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which I'm still want to get at some point, but I'm waiting for the price to go down. £55 for this game is a lot. I would pay £30 for this game. Um, not saying it's a bad game. I'm not saying it's not worth £55. It may well be, but simply because I go off games so quickly, I don't really think it's worth the investment quite yet. Even though there is the 2 hour window on Steam, where if you play a game for under 2 hours, you can refund it for full price. So there is that. There is that. So that was on my list. Right. Another one, Space Marine 2. I think it looks really nice with graphics. Not sure how my PC would handle it, but also I've heard that it's a short game, and that really turns me off. I wouldn't pay £55 for a game which only lasts like 20 hours because if I really like it, I'll probably be able to crush that in a week. And it's like is yeah, I probably could. I could finish like a week, maybe 2 weeks. and that for me is quite expensive for what I'm getting. Uh, Now Red Dead 2 is a really good game, but I've barely played it, and I'm getting really distracted in this podcast because I'm on Steam just looking at all of the games. So the last game which I considered was Assassin's Creed Mirage because I used to love Assassin's Creed. You know, Assassin's Creed 1, 2, they were sick, and then I kind of dipped away from the franchise because it was getting very samey. Let's say, put it to the least. You know, it was getting very samey, and it felt like there was a new one every 2, 3 years, and it just felt like same thing over and over again. They haven't really delved into anything deeper. Now, I was interested by the newer ones where they've kind of mixed like RPG elements with the whole assassins stuff. But I played Assassin's Creed Origins for a bit, and they have definitely changed how the parkour works. Because I remember in Assassin's Creed 1 at least, and in 2 as well, I feel like you pressed more buttons when you were ascending buildings and stuff, but now you just press forward, which is really boring. And it's like, wow, yeah. Before it actually felt cool, but this just feels like a walking simulator, and not particularly thrilling. So with that in the back of my mind, I was considering a Mirage because I've heard they've kind of gone back to their roots. You know, they've made it more like the earlier Assassin's Creeds, which is awesome because I just don't care about open world games that much anymore. I feel like I've been there, done that kind of thing, and it's like I'm just not in it for the open world gaming anymore, which is probably quite a relief for games developers because that trend I feel is dying or has already died way ago. I could be completely wrong about that. People, there might still be loads of open world games that come. And I mean, of course, there was Elden Ring a couple of years ago. That was super popular, and it was an open world. But I don't think the people who liked Elden Ring, they didn't like it because it was an open world game. They liked it because it was a Souls like game, a really good Souls like game, right? It wasn't the open world factor that was there for them. It was because it was an awesome Souls like game. That's what it was. It wasn't because it was an open world game that they were like, yes, this is why I love this game. I'm almost certain of it. I'm almost 100% on that opinion. Now there was another game on this list, Armored Core VI Fires of Rubicon. I was unsure about this. That's a good thing I haven't bought it yet because I want to get it, but I've never played Armored Core in my life, and I have no idea if I actually like mechs that much. To be honest, I don't know if I like mechs enough to put £30 into a random game. Maybe if I played an Armored Core game before and I really enjoyed it, and I feel like I did on like PS2 or something, or maybe 360, and I was just not having fun. I remember the either the controls were super weird or something about it didn't make any sense. Something like I couldn't fire my gun or something. I feel like it was something like that, and I was like, I'm gonna hold off because the only thing that's tempted me about this is that apparently, from what I've seen online, apparently the gameplay is kind of like arcadey, to say the least. Yeah, arcadey combat, and that appeals to me because I like arcadey combat. I like snappy, fast, um, yeah, fun combat. You know, I like it. That's what I like. But I don't know. I don't want to risk it. So you know, this is what old Norm would have done when he was younger. You know, the young Norm, back in the day at school. His friend comes over to him. He's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, blah 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 blah." They get onto the topic of games, and they say, "Oh, did you replay Time Splitters 2?" Whoa, yeah, no, I've never played Time Splitters 2. What is it? And he's like, "Oh, you have to play it. I'll let you borrow my disc." I go, oh, "Sure." The dude brings in Time Splitters 2 a couple of days later. I nip it on back home, whack it in, and I'm like, mind blown. This game is the best damn game ever. So, of the games that I had in my list that I was thinking of playing, thinking of playing, man. I was thinking of playing Frostpunk 2. And because my friend recommended it to me, of these four or so games, I've finally gone with the one game which was recommended to me. So, you know, if old Norm was onto something and word of mouth really goes to show that it's a good idea to play games which are recommended to you by word of mouth, we will find out because next week I will be doing another podcast for you guys. I'll be doing another episode of this sick and awesome podcast called Stay Frosty Podcast with your host Norm. And I will be giving you the rundown of Frostpunk 2 and how good it will be. I was tempted to say good or bad, but you know, I don't want to I don't want to ruin anything. So, next week I will be telling you. And actually, this works out well because this week I've kindly given myself 2 days of annual leave. Yes, Thursday and Friday I have definitely given myself time to hit the hay. So actually, this week is awesome because it's actually only like a 2.5 day week. I have tomorrow and then tomorrow morning, and then in the afternoon I work from home. I do some learning. It's very important. This is my job. But yes, I think I'm going to catch up as a gaming on the weekend and hopefully fix this damn shower, which I don't think I'm going to be able to do, unfortunately, because I've taken off the bit on the bottom. I'm having some issues where there's some leakage going on. Now, I'm pretty sure, actually, from what I've kind of worked out and understood with my dad, is that the water is coming off when I get out of the shower. It's dripping off the door, off my body, landing on the floor, and then going into the cracks. And then from the cracks, it stays in there and builds up moisture around the area, making it damp, which is really hard to fix because unless, unless I do the towel in the shower trick, that would be a good idea. Because people used to do this in a shared house I used to be in. I used to be in a shared house, probably like 6 or 7 of us in a shared house. And one guy always used to use his shower in the bath. He used to use his towel in the bath because I don't know why. But I found out because every time I went into the toilet, the bath was full of lint and it was really annoying because someone had to clean it, but he didn't clean it. He just put lint everywhere. Now I thought, why would you bother doing this? Now I can see why he was doing this because it doesn't get water on the floor. Now, if this is a good tactic, then I will commend him. Now, if it doesn't work, I will be saying it's a waste of. I will be saying it's a waste of time, and you should never do it. And you should instead put a towel on the floor and stand on the towel and dry yourself. I've been doing that. I have been doing that for the past month or so, 2 months, and it has not worked because it still gets damp on the towel gets soaked. There's damp all around, and it's not good. So I'm going to try the towel in the shower trick next. Now, this episode was quite different to the previous ones because I've focused basically only on games. I'm not sure if everything I said was strictly true or even strictly entertaining, but let's just hope for the best for this one because um, I have successfully spoken for about 30 odd minutes. Now, the thing about the thing about this podcast business, right, compared to let's say Twitch, right, Twitch live streaming, is that with the podcast, I'm not acting up for anyone. I think the thing with the Twitch streaming, right, is it's almost like a podcast, right, but you've got a live audience and they are constantly interrupting your thoughts, and you have to put on more of a show. It's like a podcast on steroids, basically, because it's like you have to put on a show for people, and you have to answer their questions and stuff while doing what I've been doing just now, which is basically just monologuing. you have to be able to monologue whilst capturing your audience, which is a real skill. And I don't think many people have actually pulled it off very well, to be honest. They have they've just put in effort. They've put in work and effort to get their viewers, such as making loads of videos on YouTube or making podcasts like me, or making their banners cool or their art cool. Some people just put in loads of work and time and into finding undiscovered games, because undiscovered games is probably, I think that is probably the key to growing on Twitch, is to find a game which is up and coming, which no one really knows about, and then you're one of the only streamers playing it. Now, let's say you normally get like 70 viewers, right, for a stream, which is pretty good. Pretty good. It's 70 viewers a stream, but if you play this random game no one's ever heard of, but it's up and coming, you're probably number one in the grid. So everyone, I'm not gonna say everyone, but most people are going to click on you. Most people are going to click on you because you're the highest viewed. That's just how it works, right? It's like, who do you who do you think is the most popular streamer? Why are they so popular? Because they have the most viewers in the category, right? That's it. They have the most viewers in the category, so all the new people coming into the category think, "Oh, this guy probably knows what he's talking about, so I'm going to click on him." Like, everyone else is watching him. Why not I? It's a whole mess of FOMO on streaming. It's just FOMO everywhere. Yeah, not is it just FOMO of missing out on a stream or missing out on watching the cool guy. It's also the FOMO of, oh, if I don't get the game they're playing, then I'm gonna miss out because everyone else has played it already. And actually, it's not even true, because, well, people in real life, in reality, real life. Can't believe I didn't think about it. In reality, it's in reality, guys. There was this thing. There was this thing you'd say as a gamer. You'd be like, "Oh yeah, my friends in real life." Actually, no, that makes more sense. Doesn't sound quite as pretentious as in reality, but makes sense in this case. But yeah, in reality, you know, in reality, I've completely forgot my point. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. In reality, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter you haven't played this game that came out 3 years ago. You could play it right now, and no one is going to care, because these games are just for you. Yeah? The majority of them people haven't even heard of. I promise you, like, most of my friends would have never heard of that Armored Core game. They would never have heard of it. They would never have heard of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. They may have heard of Space Marine 2. I'm not sure. They probably have heard of Blue Black Myth. But again, not sure. And they probably heard of Assassin's Creed Mirage. So, 3 out of 5. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's probably 3 out of 5. Anyway, I got way distracted there. Okay. Gonna wrap this one up, guys. That was a good episode. Thank you for listening, guys. Yeah, make sure to follow me on any socials I've got linked to my profile. And until next time, guys, this is another episode of the Stay Frosty podcast. Stay frosty. And yeah, goodbye. Farewell. Alfie to say goodbye.